Hello there, everyone, and welcome to this month's edition of the Talking Tim webinar series. My name is Kevin Vita, and I'll be helping facilitate today's webinar. This webinar is sponsored by the Federal Highway Administration and hosted by the National Operations Center of Excellence, also known as NOCO. As a quick reminder, NOCO offers a variety of resources to support the transportation systems management and operations community. I'll quickly cover a few logistics for today's webinar. All of the attendees are in listen-only mode by default, but we'd like you to stay engaged by using the chat box for identifying your name, title, and the agency you represent. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentations, so we encourage you to ask any questions you have during the presentations in the Q&A pod as they come to your mind at any time. The questions will be read out loud one at a time by the moderator, and our presenters will answer each question. I'd also like to state that this webinar is being recorded, and the recording and slide deck will be available on the NOCO website within a few days. That's all I have, so with that, I'll hand it over to our Master of Ceremonies for today, Jim Ostrich.
Thank you, Kevin. Once again, many thanks to the National Operations Center of Excellence and all you do to support us and Federal Highway, that is, and then the national TIM community. Greetings, everyone. Welcome. You know me, I hope, Jim Ostrich, the last man standing at FHWA's Managing Disruptions to Operations Team, TIM Program Office. And I'm actually joined today by my colleague Sharon Cuevas, who you will hear about here momentarily. Today, we have 6 wonderful presenters, all presenting on advanced warning systems. This Talking Tim is the second of a 3-part series highlighting the successes of states during our Everyday Count 7 Next Generation TIM project, Technologies for Saving Lives. Again, we're covering advanced warning technologies, and those of you that attended last month, you can still, or did not, I should say, you can still access the presentations that were done on debris removal systems and post-crash care. So look for the links in the chat pod. Next slide. Here's our standard disclaimer. Obviously, you know, you'll hear about manufacturers and products and whatnot, and we as federal government do not endorse any products or manufacturers. We just share the information with you for you to do as you wish. Next slide. So today's webinar, you're hearing me now, and I'm going to go over the updates really quick here in a minute, and then I'll be going to all 6 of our presenters. Well, actually 7, starting with Sharon. And we think you'll find it very, very interesting. Please take notes, and if you have any questions, write them in the chat pod or just wait to the end to ask your question, as we should have enough time to answer all of them. Next slide. So real quick, the updates: Crash Responder Safety Week, fast approaching, November 17th through the 21st. Please, if you are a state entity and would like to, and we are asking you, a very strong ask of you to become an ally in action. The URL there's a form to become a Crash Responder Safety Week ally in action. Please complete it or just use the QR code there. We have already conducted one all states planning webinar. There is another one coming up on the 13th. Please, you know, participate. We want to hear from you. And actually, the first one we have had over 100 officials, and folks are really gearing up. The today's All States Planning webinar. Actually, I apologize. We had to reschedule it to next week, I believe the 31st, next Thursday, the 31st. Is that correct, Vishali?
No, that's actually the national committee meeting we rescheduled. The All-State Planning webinar, the second one is on August 13th. And the previous webinar that was done can be viewed now. Sorry, it should say view now, the CRSW All-State Planning webinar from
Okay.
June 23rd. So I'll go ahead and make that update. Yes.
Thank you for keeping me in line. And very important and bolded here, the last bullet, your thoughts on the 2025 Crash Responder Safety Week tagline, which you're going to see here in a moment. Next slide. Here you go. So on the left, you see 5 bullets of the 5 suggested taglines for this year. And the poll, please take a second or two to participate in this poll. It is very important, and today I will be making the selection of one of these 5s for CRSW 2025.
So, hi, Jim. This is Vaishali. What's great is that we have had taglines or themes over the last 9 years. This is the 10th year for Crash Responder Safety Week, and you can see some of the previous taglines or themes. And these 5 have been shared and developed with the National Committee for Crash Responder Safety Week and from input from that first webinar. And it was June 11th was the webinar, the first All States Planning webinar. So we're hoping to debut the theme for 2025 at the next All States Planning webinar. And that'll be on August 13th. So your vote is very valuable and helpful, and be great to see what you think in terms of the 5 candidates for this year.
Okay, thanks, Vishali. Kevin, you want to show the results? Okay. Very good. So it looks like we have a clear winner. Safety starts with you. Slow down and move over. 45%. Second was, actually second and was tied really between Drive with Care. First responders are everywhere and keep responders safe while they work to keep you safe.
Yeah, so these will go through the FHWA review process, and we will debut the final winner or the tagline for 2025 at the August 13th National All States Planning webinar. Very, very great input. We've had input from 2 other groups, and so we'll combine these. Very cool.
Okay, thanks, Vishali. Thanks, Kevin. Moving on, next slide. So we always mention the sad facts of responder line of duty deaths. And here you see that we're up to 15 as of the 14th of this month. And boy, law enforcement is tracking ahead again this year. And right behind them are tow operators, 1 fire rescue EMS and 1 service patrol. So let's always keep that in mind, and why the training is so important to all of us. One day we'll beat this and get it way down, hopefully to 0 one day, if that's even possible, but we can try. Next slide. The training, boy, I can't wait. We're just shy of 800,000 since the summer of 2012. And you can see some performance there, the top 10 states' progress since the June report. And but this is a big deal, and we need each and every one of you, us, to keep pushing the training. Next slide. And then again, we've highlighted our TIM training website, which is recently received a little improvement, if you will, to make it interactive with our audience, responder community, and trainers as well as non-trainers are invited to go, and you can view, I should say, and read the statistics for your state. So this is a big deal in a way that you don't have to wait for the monthly reports. You can go directly to the site and see where your state stands in terms of those, the training. So next slide. And now again, my colleague Sharon Cuevas will talk to us about the TIM self-assessment. Sharon?
Thank you, Jim. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Oh, good. Thank you for giving me a moment to do a shout out for Save the Date, September 11th, 2025 at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to conduct the annual Traffic Incident Management Self-Assessment Training. We're going to use this same NOCO, the National Operations Center of Excellence platform, and registration will be opening soon. We'll be doing a mass distribution out to existing TIM traffic incident management committees to get them to register for that upcoming training. The committees are really key in facilitating assessments within their states, in their urban areas, about what their strategies are on clearing incidents. And the TIM assessment is made up of approximately 41 questions in 3 different categories: strategic, tactical, and support categories. So the strategic types of questions ask about formal policies and understandings among TIM partners, ahead of incidents occurring, and help establish some performance measures and program evaluation metrics. The tactical questions within the TIM self-assessment covers on-scene response and clearance practices, traffic control, responder and motorist safety. And then the support questions are on interagency communications, data sharing, intelligent transportations, ITS for TIM, and traveler information. As background, in 2003, FHWA facilitated the initial assessments for traffic incident management programs in the largest 75 urban areas across the US. And representatives from public safety, fire, police, private sector partners, towing, all got together to start dialoguing on how to make it safer out there. So hopefully you can join us September 11th for that a 1-hour training. Registration is going to open soon. And back to you, Jim. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Sharon. And we're hoping to acquire Sharon permanently as part of our managing disruptions for or to operations team here at headquarters. Sharon's currently based out of Austin, and her background with over 20 years, I should have said this at the beginning, but it's worth saying now for sure, over 20 years of experience across operations and ITS research and safety domains. She's also an expert on emergency management, deploying with FEMA during disasters, and she also, besides the self-assessment, she's also oversees the the big project regarding planned special events, the Olympics and soccer games, and also electric vehicle fires. So we're really excited to have Sharon on our team. So Sharon, thanks again. So the technologies, again, that we're talking about today, you heard some great information. I had all kinds of thoughts and comments that unfortunately won't be able to make, but I think our presenters did a phenomenal job, and we should take note of that. And if you're a state that is interested in any of these technologies, feel free to reach out to the presenters and or my office, Vishali, Sharon, and we'll be glad to help you. Next slide. So here are our presenters again, and we are going to go into Q&A now.
Jim, my apologies. I think that the next one is introducing, next slide,
Introducing,
Christopher Gartner.
oh, Christopher, my apologies as well, from the great state of Indiana, who's going to talk to us about the work that he's doing with Purdue University. And Chris, I might add, is again this work with Purdue that they're working on incident detection helps agencies more quickly respond and notify motorists. And Chris is a graduate research assistant with the Purdue Joint Transportation Research Program. His research interests include developing GIS solutions for ITS and utilizing big data analytics. Chris has a BS degree in civil engineering and is currently pursuing his MS at Purdue. So, Chris, over to you.
Yep, thank you, Jim. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So I'm here today on behalf of the Indiana Department of Transportation to talk to you about some of the work we've done to develop an automated camera mover in the state. So this has been a team effort, and there's so many people who haven't been shown.
Set timer for 8 minutes.
Next slide, please. So again, this work's been supported by the Joint Transportation Research Program here at Purdue and the Indiana Department of Transportation. What I'm about to present to you reflects the views of us here at Purdue and not necessarily the Indiana Department of Transportation. And this work has been published in several places, including the report here. And if we go to the next slide, you can find the publications. In the top left is the main project publication, and then the remainder are associated publications, which will give you more detail, or feel free to reach out to me or anyone at the team to get further insights on this work. So without further ado, next slide. The aim of this project was to augment the Federal Highway Traffic Incident Management timeline and propose a T2I, you'll see circled in blue. This was our metric to allow us to measure the detection/verification time, specifically in metropolitan areas, with the goal of trying to reduce the time it takes to get cameras positioned onto incidents on the interstates. Next slide, please. So this is what we define as our traditional framework for how cameras were moved. It would start off with calls come in from motorists going to the 911 operators, those being passed to the TMC operators, and then they would have the task of finding the nearest camera, moving it, and running through that iterative process until they find the correct camera in these dense camera networks in the metropolitan areas. And that is what we identified as slowing down the process. Not at any fault of the operators, but due to the nature of the system they're working in. Next slide, please. So our proposed methodology to aid this is using data-driven insights. So we have an incident occurrence, and we are going to use potentially 3, and I'm going to talk about mostly 2 sources of data to generate these camera movements and their notifications for the TMC operators. Next slide, please. So those 3 steps I'm going to talk to you today about is the camera to mile marker, a camera to GPS, and then finally a camera to connected vehicle data. So the first one is the easiest to implement, but shows the power of the results if we can get the last 2 working. Next slide, please. So the camera to mile marker is essentially a lookup table of preset positions to which we assign a visibility to. What you're seeing in the back is the data table where you manually move the camera to, say, in our case, the linear reference post, the mile markers, the blue signs on the side of the road, capture the position, the pan tilt zoom of the CCTV cameras at that location, and then assign, can we see all of the roadway? Can we only see part of the roadway? And can we see none of the roadway? And then we can map that onto a heat map to kind of show the density where you have multiple cameras seeing identical sections of the interstate. So next slide. The video plays. This video is showing kind of a demonstration of that tool at work. This in the current state was manually being moved, so it would help newer operators by showing them which cameras they can pick to see sections of roadway and aid in that decision making without having to know the system to the extent of some of the more experienced operators in the TMC with them. As you see, this is a green, so we can see all the roadway, and as we move farther away, we can kind of see less and less of the roadway with some of the foliage, and then farther yet, even less. Next slide, please. So the proposed kind of flow we came up with to integrate this was using the agency vehicle telematics or the safety patrol vehicle telematics coming in every 30 seconds or so. Once they've stopped for 60 seconds on the roadway, on the interstate rather, we then look through that lookup table, we find what's that nearest mile marker, we reference those coordinates we had manually defined in the table, and then we move the camera and tell the operator that we move the camera to a stop safety patrol vehicle. So next slide, please. This is the Indiana Hoosier Helpers, who are those safety patrol vehicles, sending their telematics. Next slide. So the power of this is we don't have to wait on the operator to be told that the safety patrol is stopped, or even sometimes that message is not always communicated because the incident or object on the roadway in this case requires kind of immediate attention, where information is kind of taken down the hierarchical approach and action just needs to be taken. Notice that the operator's in the middle of these travel lanes without any other kind of blocking vehicles, just to get the debris out of the roadway and prevent a future crash that is likely imminent to happen in a situation like this. One thing to note on this slide is that the service patrol vehicle is clearly in the screen, which is the ideal case. We want to see that we actually captured what was going on. So in the next slide, we get a case where that's maybe not so great. And this is where we're going to say red, thumbs down. We're going to call this a failing movement on the camera, despite it actually capturing the vehicle. So next slide. We went and did an assessment, doing that pass-fail approach on the cameras, and we found that about 54% of the time, over the dozens of movements every day that were being made, the cameras are actually capturing the vehicle. Next slide. And that brings us to the future development we wanted to do with the camera to GPS. So this is going to be less reliant on the manual mapping on that table and more continuous in the sense that you can click on a map and the camera will move. But next slide. And this is a brief video showing that, where now instead of set points, which those blue dots represent what we could move to before, we can now move to any point at those dots or not at those dots on the ramps or anything else. So it's a much more diverse system that can actually see anywhere on the interstate where the camera can see within reason. Next slide, please. again, we applied the service patrol vehicle telematics data to this as the trigger. So if they stopped on the interstate for 60 seconds, that would trigger the movement. But then in this case, instead of finding the nearest mile marker, we actually just take the GPS position from the telematics data received. And then next slide. This is what that kind of process looks like. So from the red on the left in the bottom picture, we go to the green thumbs up. We fed the same GPS points in and it actually works. So next slide. Talking about the implementation of this system, we deployed to about 100 cameras, limited to 50 or so just for quality control. And next slide, we performed the same visual analysis of the images. And while we lost some movements, we gained almost doubling our accuracy in terms of camera movements. So that's 90% of the time the image we capture as soon as we move the camera actually captures the incident and the patrol vehicle. And since this has been running nonstop with the Indiana Department of Transportation's cameras in Indianapolis since July of 2024, and we've made over 4,000 movements on less than 60 cameras. Now scaling that to the 800 in the system, you could see where we are aiding the operators by making a lot of these movements to incidents and kind of giving more reassurance that these cameras are being pointed at the incidents as they occur. Next slide, please. The final kind of approach to this would be, instead of using the telematics data in the next slide, please, we're going to use connected vehicle slowdown data. And one more slide, please. So, and this is a spatial temporal heat map. So it shows the mile marker on the y-axis, it shows the time on the x-axis, and then it's colored by speed. So what we're essentially aiming to do with this is find the front of queues, which is where the pink line starts at the very top of this plot, and derive the position we need to move the camera to that. So now we're not waiting on any kind of responder to get to scene. We can see in the speeds on the roadways. We can make the determination, is there a slowdown occurring? And then we can send the movement to the camera and then alert the operator and reduce the actual detection time and verification time from the TIM timeline. And next slide. For further details, please see these papers or feel free to contact me. With that, I'll pass it back to Jim. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Great presentation, and we look forward to the final report findings when they become available. Next up is Kevin Maxwell, who began his career in the U.S. Army, reaching a rank of sergeant over his 8 years of service. He then pivoted to the Nevada DOT, earning his PE license while advancing projects in Nevada roadway Dessing Division. He recently moved to the ITS Planning and Operations section and serves as the Traffic Operations Principal Engineer. Over to you, Kevin.
Hey, thank you, Jim. Thanks for the opportunity and welcome everybody. I'll be talking about a Las Vegas active traffic management system that was installed during a large effort called Project Neon. This involved a lot of pavement, a lot of structural work to improve capacity and operations. And in hindsight, with the addition of these sign gantries and all the automated and advanced traffic management system components, it very well could have fit into a TSMO strategy, which is Transportation Systems Management and Operations. Next slide. So here's an example of a crash. This doesn't have to just be crashes. It's also activated in extreme congestion and in and around weather events and things of that nature. So you can see where these signs not only control lane use, but we can also reduce speed in advance of a crash location where traffic incident management responders are showing up. So there's 42 of these signs along I-15 and 95. Again, notifying of upcoming incidents and dynamically adjusting speed on approach. Next slide. So what I decided to do in explaining some of the advancements and strengths and challenges is to just introduce a synopsis. So here's an incident that happened on a off ramp. It was a freeway shooting right on the off ramp. And so the resultant delay or the resultant extent of time of 8 hours was mainly because of the investigation portion of it. Here you'll see the agencies involved, and all of our ITS devices are numbered so that they can be introduced as data points in the ATMS. Next slide. So what we use is a SWOT report, strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. As far as strengths go, for this incident, there was a quick location using all the CCTV cameras, timely alert to each of our DMS, GPS providers, using the DMS signs, GPS providers, email, and social media postings. Some opportunities, we can continue to build relationships with the partner agencies, and then also our TMC practice. So NHP used to be housed with our freeway and arterial service team, but since then they have been moved out, and so perhaps we can get a dedicated handheld radio use so that instead of them just being a desk over, they're just a click on a mic over. Next slide. Here's the second synopsis where there was an incident shooting at the Aliente in location number 1. And then the suspect took off and carjacked somebody near number 2. And he ended up going, a license plate reader that we have deployed, picked him up at the location 3, where he then got into a secondary crash during a pursuit, and then another carjacking at location number 4. Finally, location number 5, Las Vegas Metro, was able to execute a pit maneuver to ram the suspect's vehicle and apprehend. Next slide. So here's some of the time, location, and corridor, and a picture of the synopsis. A few more agencies involved. These folks pretty much, we have a traffic incident management plan where we meet with the core team once a month, and then quarterly we go out to each of the different districts and make sure that, and this being District 1, you have Las Vegas Metro, Las Vegas PD, Henderson PD was involved. This guy got around town, that's for sure. And then again, the ITS device is used. Next slide. So here's the SWOT report. Again, the location was verified using the CCTV cameras, and then images displayed in our FAST building. Roadway closures were quickly coordinated between these agencies. And then we also use signal timing monitoring. Those can be remotely adjusted by FAST via CCTV. And then they can watch where the traffic is being congested, where it's rerouting, and control in that manner. And here's some more ways of alerting with transit apps, GPS, fast alerts. Opportunities discovered. In the Las Vegas Valley, we have opportunities for folks to steal both fiber and copper. And so in this case, a lot of our there were dynamic message signs that weren't able to operate, whether it was because of road work or because of theft. We can continue to relate events. This is a management tool. It's used during this incident, and it's also being improved to support better visually tracking. And then we can strengthen our partnership with Las Vegas Metro. Again, perhaps a dedicated radio with that. And weaknesses and strengths, you can read those. Oftentimes in fatalities or a large scene, the response time and delay are exasperated. And then the threats were the direct communication, but that becomes an opportunity. So lessons learned. Next slide. So that was pretty quick rundown of the ATM. But if you want more information, we have the RTC Southern Nevada website there. We have the Nevada DOT website. And then you can also contact either Teresa, who's the director of our FAST team, or my team, starting with me at the numbers shown and email address. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Kevin. Excellent presentation. Boy, more and more are incidents involving law enforcement, and that's happening obviously all across the nation. So we're not just dealing with crashes, big and small. We're dealing with all kinds of incidents. So Nevada DOT, my hat goes off to you guys. You guys have always done a great job and been a model state in your entire program. Next up is Tom Murphy, who is an analyst with the Transportation Mobility Planning and Research Unit of New Jersey DOT. He works primarily with the ITS Resource Center on pilot projects, including weather savvy roads and truck parking. He has also worked extensively with DriveWise over his 3 years with the agency.
Thank you so
Welcome,
much.
Tom.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I'm still seeing it as my picture there on the screen. If we could go for the next slide, please.
I'm wondering whether there might be a technical issue with Kevin Vita's slide access. Let me see if I can help resolve that. Give me one moment.
Thank you so much.
Kevin, you still there?
Yeah, I'm back. Apologies. I apparently got kicked out. But I'll get the slides back up in just a second.
Thank you.
Kevin, I'll take the blame for that. Being my last name is Murphy, it's pretty spot on that this happened here. So take full responsibility.
No worries. So can you move the slide, Kevin? Next.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to be talking about our use of DriveWise alerts for commercial vehicles here in the Garden State. We started with DriveWise back in January of 2022. And for those of you who don't know, DriveWise, it was a subsidiary of INREX, and they have now, they were spun off and they have been purchased by Fleetworthy. And they offer a number of services for commercial vehicle operators and fleet operators. Specifically, they focus on a lot of way station bypass, but they also send safety alerts, and that's something that they do for free for commercial vehicle operators. Next slide, please. So New Jersey is a major freight corridor. More warehouses are opening up every single day along our highways, and with more warehouses, there's more commercial vehicles. Now, these commercial vehicles need a longer time to stop, whether both in distance and in time. And so being able to get notifications to these drivers ahead of time about some issues that may be up ahead is crucial in preventing secondary crashes and just keeping our roads safe. So here in New Jersey, all of our DOT interstates are covered. So specifically I-78 and I-80 going east and west up north. And I-295 down south, but it also covers the New Jersey Turnpike, or I-95, and that's managed by the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, and also the Atlantic City Expressway, managed by the South Jersey Transportation Authority. So between all three agencies, it is 647 center line miles. Next slide, please. There are two main alerts I want to focus on here. First is the congestion ahead alert. So what happens with this is the incident of where the congestion needs to be at least a buildup of 1.5 minutes, and travel speeds need to be at 65% of free flow speed. And what happens is DriveWise basically goes to the back of the queue and works 2 miles upstream from there and draws a geo fence. And so everyone who drives through that geo fence would get that congestion ahead notice with enough time to be able to make decisions, slow down, whether either be potentially adjust their route to avoid the congestion or know that it's coming and they're prepared to stop. And that is the much more common alert. The second is the sudden slowdown ahead. Now with this, the alert is sent out when there's a 35-mile-per-hour drop in travel speeds in adjacent segments. And this is much less common because 35 mile per hour is a sharp curve there. And again, DriveWise goes to 2 miles back from there upstream to set up that geo fence for the drivers. So we're able to view those in a Tableau dashboard that I'll show you on the next slide. But before I go there, DriveWise also works with us to send out what we call static alerts. These are for low bridges, and they'll send this alert before the last exit, so the driver has an opportunity to correct their route to avoid that low bridge. They do it for high rollover areas, so think of clover leafs or exit or entrance ramps that are a bit of a tight curve. But they also do it for weight restrictions. They've done it for us for closed roads, as well as a pilot program we did to avoid trucks in the left lane. So in New Jersey, like many other states, we have those signs when our highways are 3 lanes or more to say no trucks in the left lane. But we often find that people ignore them. It's really like, what can we do about this? So we worked with DriveWise and went to our straight line diagram, and every 15 miles where there was a stretch of 3 lanes or more, we had that alert set up for no trucks in the left lane. That's a pilot we ran for about 1.5 years. We have since ended it, and we're evaluating to see if that's something we're going to do in the future. But one of the things we're very cognizant is a potential alert fatigue for the drivers, and we don't want them to turn off the alerts or start not listening because they're getting so many of them. So that's something we'll be evaluating in the future. And the other major one we've done static alerts for is our sinkhole on I-80, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Next slide, please. So this is the Tableau dashboard that we're provided by DriveWise. So this, we're able to view those congestion alerts and the sudden slowdown alerts. If you look at the bar charts, the blue alerts are the congestion and the orange are the sudden slowdown. So you'll notice the congestion alerts far outweigh the sudden slowdown ones. But here we're also able to view the number of alerts that have been given in particular months or days, the number of unique vehicles alerted, on which corridors are getting the most alerts, how many overall, and we can continue to drill down in this and look at the data going up to 1 year back. Next slide, please. And I did just want to add to that now that I forget that that data is usually delayed by about a day, so it's not something you can use for live operations, but it is something that certainly help with after action reviews. So some of the data that we have, or statistics we've gotten from DriveWise starting from August 2023, is there's over 260 total sudden slowdown or congestion alerts that have been sent, and it averages around just over 6,000 unique vehicles per month. That's actually increased to over 10,000 since May of 2025. And going back to the alert fatigue I was talking about, over almost 11 million static alerts were sent out since June of 2024. And so that's one of those things that we're continuing to look at and see how can we best serve the commercial vehicle operators in our state. Next slide, please. So we joined with DriveWise in January 2022. And a week or two later, the entire Northeast was hit by a nor'easter winter storm Keenan. And we worked with DriveWise to let them know that our commissioner was going to be issuing commercial vehicle restrictions for the winter weather. And as such, they would not be allowed on our interstates. So DriveWise put alerts up kind of at the border within an hour or two of us letting them know that this was happening. But about an hour after that, DriveWise went ahead and actually put alerts going as far up as Massachusetts, as far down south as Maryland, and to PA to let drivers know that we did have the commercial vehicle restrictions on the road and to seek an alternate route. They were also a partner for us when it came to the I-95 bridge collapse in Philadelphia in June of 2023. With that, over 36,000 alerts went out in the week afterwards. Similar with the key bridge collapse in Baltimore 2024. And some of you may have heard back in December 26th of 2024 on I-80 in northern New Jersey, first sinkhole opened up. And within an hour or two, DriveWise had alerts up at 8 different spots on I-80 going eastbound, starting at the Delaware River at the New Jersey-PA border and going up to exit 30, letting commercial vehicle operators know that that I-80 was closed at exit 34 and to seek an alternate route. So that's the actual alert right there on that page. And during this and up through another sinkhole that opened on February 10th, all the way through until the I-80 was fully open and traffic was restored back in June of 2025, hundreds of thousands of alerts were sent to over 100,000 unique trucks. And so DriveWise was a key partner for us with all of that. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we kind of live by here at the NJDOT is trust but verify. We're able to see all of the alerts that DriveWise sends through our Tableau dashboard, but we don't actually get the alerts ourselves. So initially we had our SSP drivers a couple years ago. We set them up with dummy accounts through DriveWise, and they were able to get those alerts and track them and see, okay, you got one here, maybe you didn't get one here. Did you think you should have gotten one? So we could analyze that and work with DriveWise to try to understand exactly what we were getting and understand the service and what all the thresholds are. Over the past year, we've actually worked with our ITS Resource Center over at NJIT, led by Dr. Dan Bashensky, to do other testing and do loops through both northern and central Jersey to hit the major interstates. And I can tell you that QA/QC is an important thing, but also when it comes to the DriveWise alerts, it is a bit like chasing lightning, because those geofences that I talked about again are 2 miles short of the congestion, 2 miles upstream of the congestion, but it also moves back with the queue. So it's easy to miss them just because of the way the dynamics of the system works. But that's something I'd be happy to discuss further if anyone has any questions. That's something I can talk ad nauseum about. Next slide, please. That's all I have for us about DriveWise today. I want to thank NOCO for the opportunity to speak about this. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. But in the meantime, thanks, and back to you, Jim.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Excellent presentation. I can tell you my sister agency, my colleagues over at the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration really appreciate the DriveWise platform that you presented on today and gaining more and more momentum across the land. So thank you again for that. Next up is Mariana Adams. Mariana is the Washington State Department of Transportation's Incident Response Program Manager, joining transportation operations of January of this year with Washington State DOT since 2022. As a former 911 operator, she brings a passion for working to keep the public and responders safe with a background in contracts, risk, and public safety. So welcome, Mariana.
Thanks, Jim. Next slide, please. Good afternoon, TIM community. Before jumping in to our use of pilot devices, I wanted to introduce our incident response team, aka IRT, with a little bit of background. Next slide. Washington State has 39 counties, and WashDOT is split into 6 regions encompassing those counties across the state. Our IRT are on call 24/7 and are located in all 6 regions with 86 employees and 69 IRT trucks but their roving and response areas are based on locations with the most congestion, incidence, and severity of incidents. IRT coverage area results in roving 3,400 lane miles, covering about 18% of all state-owned centerline miles. And in 2024, IRT responded to approximately 43,181 incidents. Next slide. Not only does Washington State have over 15 hours of darkness during a large portion of winter, but is notoriously wet and encompassed in gray conditions during daylight hours, both of which increases our responders' need for visibility. And additionally, during the summer, we have relatively warm and dry conditions with a lot of forests and risks of fire. These are some unique challenges that really help drive the usefulness of pilot sequential flares specifically for our IRT operators. The flares are the orange ice cream sandwich looking lights on the screen. In 2023, we piloted 6 sets of pilot sequential flares, which resulted with WashDOT entering into a contract and then outfitting all of our IRT trucks with a set of 10 pilot rechargeable sequential flares and the option to utilize the PiLink devices. Use of all devices began in early of 2024 after delivery. The PiLink digital alerting system activates real-time advance warning by way of digital alerts once the flares are deployed to systems such as Waze and Apple Maps. You can also link it into the truck to link up with the light bars. So once lights are deployed, it would automatically send alerts. It is the gray device on the screen. But you do not need PiLink to use the flares. It is only an additional tool in advance warning. In June of 2025, so last month, our operators deployed flares 12 times and activated 104 hazard maintenance and lane closure alerts through PiLink by way of manually pressing the button using their flares or light bars. 70 of our alerts activated were emergency vehicle, move over, slow down. Trend-wise, incident numbers and severity are increasing from pre-COVID numbers, and any way we can provide clear early warning to avoid secondary crashes and keep our personnel on the roadway as illuminated as possible is instrumental. Next slide. Through utilizing both PiLink and PiLit, we have a few thoughts to share. Overall, the positive feedback since deploying the sequential flares is that our operators and supervisors advise they truly are reliable and easy to use. The devices also allow for versatility during incidents and allow the operators to adapt. For instance, IRT will place the pucks underneath cones to add additional directional lighting and illumination, or if we have multiple operators responding, the sets easily sync up to provide further coverage. The lights are magnetized and can be placed on the back of vehicles to create a sudden light bar on disabled vehicles. Our operators also enjoy having a dedicated carrying case that allows for uniform storage and saves precious space in their trucks. And some of our operators who utilize PiLink digital alerting report deploying the flares during daylight hours to provide advance warning on Waze and Apple Maps. Another positive is that a set of sequential flares has 20 hours of runtime on a full charge, making them last through the most severe incidents. And the sequential lights will pay for themselves after just a few deployments. So here's an example of a quick cost analysis. If it's $1.06 per 30-minute flare and you use, average 5 flares per incident, and let's say you use them on a quarter of your incidents, for our example, that would have been about $57,214.83 for our incidents responded to in 2024. And it would cost $49,680 to outfit every single one of our IRT trucks with sequential flares. Another few considerations, as with every piece of technology, are that if you're utilizing the PiLink digital alerting system, there is an annual subscription fee per device. So depending on how often the sequential flares are deployed or the size of the fleet, that's something to keep in mind. If operators do not frequently use them or actively check on charging, there is a 6-hour full charge between depletion. And so if they didn't charge them after their last shift, there is a new process that needs to be added and considered for seamless use. If one light or a few lights are left behind or damaged, that is a $70 per puck replacement, It is nice to be able to replace individual pucks versus having to do the whole set, but it is a consideration nonetheless. And operators need to ensure pucks are clean before connecting to the base because of charging to ensure that there's no interruption to the connection. With all that being said, overall, our responders are satisfied with the overall performance, usability, and would recommend these to a colleague or similar department. And from a program management perspective, we thoroughly enjoy working with the vendor PI variables or PI variables throughout the contracting, warranty, and maintenance of these devices. Next slide. All right, if we could press play on the video, please. Oh, go back. Yep. Thank you. So here's an example of the sequential flares in action in our Northwest region. This was a 6-lane closure due to a pedestrian versus multiple vehicles, and there was an extended closure for investigation during the middle of the night. The pilot flares allowed 2 IRT trucks in 2 sets of sequential flares to quickly link up and effectively close a great number of lanes safely and steer the public in a manageable way during this major incident. And so this is just a really great example of seeing them in action. And next slide. If you have any questions or would like to connect, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. Stay safe out there. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Mariana, and great presentation. The electronic flares are an advanced warning device that are also gaining momentum across the nation, and your information is valuable for sure for our audience. So thanks again. So next up is Christine Langley. Christine is the Director of the Data Modernization and Innovation at the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities with over 2 decades of public service experience. She leads a division focused on modernizing how the department collects, manages, and uses data to improve transportation safety and enhance public communication. So with that, welcome, Christine.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. Next slide. I'm going to use all of the great information that Mariana shared and just launch right from there now that everybody is well versed in what PyLite and PyLinks are. So Alaska is unique. We like to play that up, but it also is a very real thing. So we have over 5,000 center lane miles, but only 1,000 signalized intersections. We also manage 237 airports, 2 of which are internationals. We have 864 bridges that are DOTs and 1,000 that we're responsible for. We also have a designated marine highway system, and that includes 9 ferry vessels that travel to 16 ports of call. We have 3 tunnels, one of which is the longest in North America. While our geographic size is large, at the end of the day, our trunk highway system is 2-lane roads, mainly posted between 55 and 65 miles an hour. We only have 2 level 2 trauma centers in the state. We do not have a level 1 trauma center. We all head to Washington for that. And those 2 level 2 trauma centers are located within 5 blocks of each other in the city of Anchorage. So for a vast majority of Alaskans, that means a very long trip to get medical support. And so for us, quite often, the first person on scene is the first responder. And we do everything we can to really target that golden hour, get people out and to care as fast as we can. Next slide, please. Alaska is not a strong user of Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, and so we had to come up with a solution that worked for us. We really push hard into our 511 if we do any communication with the public, whether it's social media, interviews, public communication, website sharing. We push 511 as the first stop for Alaskans, and they use it regardless of road ownership. So municipal, borough, state, they go to 511. And for us, 511 shares not just road condition information and construction updates. In the last 2 weeks, we have had road closures due to wildfires jumping the highway in multiple spots. We issued a tsunami warning for a good portion of our southern coast last week, and we use it for alerting individuals to school buses. So we're a state, like several other Western states, that has school bus stops on high-speed roads. And this means, again, those 2-lane, 55, 65 mile an hour roads. And so we have implemented systems on 511 that alert drivers as they approach both school buses and winter operations, plow trucks, and similar activities. We've done a great job of getting them to go to 511, and that means anything that we do from now on needs to be compatible with 511. Next slide. This is what got us to Pilot and PyLink as the right solution for us. We had to take into account that many of the individuals we were going to be giving these to were volunteer EMS and fire operations throughout the state of Alaska. We knew we needed to have rapid deployment so that they were truly not just carried in vehicles, but used by the people who were in those vehicles. We wanted pre-stored messages so that those PyLink units that subsequently sent those messages to 511, we wanted to make sure that they were clear and consistent messaging that the public could understand. Because a lot of these groups are volunteer and we knew we couldn't get a unit into every single ambulance, every fire truck, every police or law enforcement vehicle, we wanted to make sure that we could move them back and forth and make the most of the dollars that we had to spend. And then we wanted to make sure that we could fund them as a DOT. We, again, know that many of our groups are volunteer. We want to support them and support that post-crash care focus for the state of Alaska. And so we wanted to find a solution that we could front the cost for those various groups throughout the state. On the right is Gomez. He is our ITS coordinator. He handles our 511 site. And this is him demonstrating the use of pilots to one of our local EMS groups. Alaska, similar to what we just heard from Mariana, has considerable days in which it is dark most of the time. And so these were a great solution for us. But during the summer months when we handed them out, all our demonstrations were inside, since it was also 24 hours of light. Next slide. So we, in our strategic highway safety plan, we have a focus on post-crash care like many other states. And we have a statement in there that we support the technology and tools that support our first responders. And it turned out that this was a great statement, very forward thinking of us, though we didn't realize it at the time. But having that focus in our SHSP and the flexibility that is in the IIJA, Bill, we were able to use our HSIP specified safety funds to purchase these units. And so we, beginning in 2025, this calendar year, we have 639 sets of pilots. 617 of them have PyLink kits. We were able to provide many to our fire, our EMS groups, local law enforcement, many to the Alaska State Troopers, which cover most all of our state, minus a couple urban areas. And then we gave many to DOT and PF M&O staff, because quite often, due to the long distances, DOT is the first responder on site. We travel the roads, we're at the airports, we're on the ferries, we're there when things happen. And so having the unit in the vehicles allowed them to stand up that emergency response and alert to any drivers that are on their way. Through the use of these funds, we were not only able to buy the units, but that first year of cost for the PyLink kits as well. Next slide. As I'm sure everyone on this call knows, sometimes we can have great ideas, we can buy the item, we can front the costs, we can sell the story, but it doesn't necessarily get used by those out in our communities. We have had great adoption for the pilots, and we're really excited about that. We sent our first units out in February, and between February and June, we had 233 activations of them. These are our major urban areas that are lit up on the heat map here that's on the right. And this was our summer, right? Or a good portion of that was summer. So we expect to see increased usage through the winter when it's dark. And in the next year, we intend to buy more of these and cover another year's worth of PyLink costs for all of our individuals so they continue using them and continue connecting to 511. Next slide. So thank you all very much for letting me share how pilots and pilinks work for the state of Alaska. And there's contact information for both myself and Pam, who is our traffic and safety engineer for the state of Alaska. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Christine. I was very excited. Alaska was the first state to procure the device in great numbers. I was pleasantly surprised to learn a couple years ago, right, before you actually made the the procurement. But regardless, it's great to see Alaska moving forward with this technology and other technologies too, from what I understand. So thank you for sharing that. Next up, Eric Hemphill, who is from the North Texas Tollway Authority. Eric is the Director of Traffic and Incident Management for the NTTA. In his role, he oversees traffic engineering, safety, and incident management for the authority. Welcome, Eric.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for the opportunity. I know I'm the last person here, so I got to kind of make up some time. So we're going to, as we'd say in Texas, strap on your boots. We're going to get busy quick. So next, please. All right. We're just going to fly through that. So you already know who I am and what we're about to do today. So next, please. Just a little reminder, the North Texas Tollway Authority, we are a political subdivision of the state of Texas, which means we are a government entity. However, in Texas, we receive no state tax dollars. We only get what we collect from the tolls in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So next slide, please. A little bit about our system. Dallas is on the right, Fort Worth is on the left. You can see we go from having to know cattle brands to being in the middle of downtown Dallas. So our system is unique in that we cover a lot of areas and a lot of different types. So next, please. So my approach today is going to be basically talking about from the top to the bottom of the TSMO timeline. We all know about it or we wouldn't be on this call, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our Safety Operations Center, which is our 24/7, 365 traffic management center, but we're unique in that we also dispatch our state troopers and we're a 911 center. So all of our operators are certified 911 operators, licensed telecommunicators, we call them. In this center, we detect incidents using our cameras, which we'll talk about, dispatch state troopers and other resources necessary, and then monitor the roadways for our customers and our workers out there. So next, please. So in the TSMO timeline, if you have 0 incidents, that timeline is 0. So if you have nothing to respond to, you try to prevent it from the beginning. So this is our Q warning project. On the right, you see a standard backup we have is routine backup, transitioning one route to another. You see 2 lanes on the left wide open. People are going quickly in all 3. The right one slows down. So next, please. So what we've done is we've installed sensors along the way and message boards that automatically update with stop traffic, slow traffic ahead, reducing the chance of those rear end collisions in that queue. So next, please. I mentioned earlier, we have the camera configurations. You see on this, we have 1 pan tilt zoom that helps us verify incidents and then 4 fixed cameras across our system. We have over 2,000 cameras. Those fixed cameras see the world a little bit differently. If you could, next, please. They see it like this. In that shaded area, they're looking for anything that does not belong. So anything stops longer than 20 seconds, we'll send an alert. Next, please. Those alerts look like this. In our traffic management center, it pops up to somebody working our alerts and alarms. You see it draws a box around it and says, pay attention to me. Either pedestrian on the roadway, stop vehicle, large debris. In this case, we have one of our state troopers pulling somebody over. All of those allow us to reduce that incident timeline by detecting those incidents before we get first 911 calls or even Waze alerts inside our system. So next, please. In areas that we have large incidents, we started with wrong way drivers, but it also helps us with pedestrians and stalled vehicles as well. But it does not get messed up by the weather. So it could be rainy, windy, snowy. 110 are your thermal cameras. So the thermal cameras see the world a little bit different. Next, please. They see the world in black and white shades. So the black is cold, the white is hot. And next, please, and I'll just talk over as the slide's going. You can see the car going through that, the heat signature of the car. It doesn't matter if it's 110 or 32 degrees outside, it goes through these arrows and it can detect that something happened. In this case, it's a wrong way driver. Next, please. What that does is pop up this, immediately pop this up in our Safety Operations Center. Tells us the direction they're going, the speed they're going, the next 5 cameras to pay attention to it. And once we hit confirm, we've geolocated all of our DMS boards, and the nearby DMS boards will flash to the wrong way driver or the right way drivers that they need to use caution. There's a wrong way driver in their area. Again, trying to reduce or prevent that TSMO timeline to 0. Next, please. And we've already talked about debris clear, so in such a time, I'm going to move on. Pay attention to the last TSMO website, Talking Tim. You'll see all about those. So next slide, please. Starting from the outer working in as far as our roadway safety to our employees, we have our DMS signs. You can see here we're flashing it slow on, move over, slow down. If there was one of our team up ahead, we'd say debris ahead, stop vehicles ahead, etc. Whatever it is. These signs are placed and geolocated near our calls, so our operators automatically could click on the nearest signs to post messages that are pre-programmed. Next, please. So as we get a little closer, every one of our trucks has this HOS alert system, basically saying to Waze, Apple Maps, Stellantis vehicles that one of our vehicles is ahead, in this case, emergency response vehicle nearby. It's a road hazard. So if you're running with Waze or any one of those, once our truck lights turn on, that Waze message comes on. Next, please. And here's how it would look like if you were driving a Stellantis vehicle. Pops up in there saying lane closure ahead, wrong way driver nearby, or emergency vehicle ahead. And then the one on the right, you can actually see one of our vehicles at the same time as you can see the alert. Again, just giving advance warning to try to keep our customers safe from hitting one of our vehicles and our employees safe from getting hit. So next, please. We've already talked about sequential flares. We use a little different version. We don't use the pilot version. These are the round ones, but next, please. We'll cover that later. Again, if you just hit next, yep, there you go. There's a little video of ours running. We've been running, if you notice the date of the video, since 2018, 7 years of these sequential flares. And just like you heard from the last ones, we can swear by them. They do move over people a lot earlier, especially at night. So next, please. Now, one thing we do have on all of our safety service patrol trucks is smart lighting, a term phrased by Paul back in the day. It's not smart such that it's what you would think, but it is programmed to do things when the truck does certain things. When doors open, certain lights turn off, not to blind our drivers. When we come to a stop, when we go to a slow or cruise, all of those lights are automatically doing things to keep our operators focused on what's in front of them instead of trying to make the lights do certain things. So all of our trucks come with a smart lighting package based on the work they're doing. So next, please. What they also have is synchronized lights. So in a lot of situations, a lot of trucks are flashing different things. Our trucks are tied together. Once one truck tells the lead truck says, here's what we're going to do, all the rest of the trucks that pull up to the scene, as you can see, would flash the same thing. If you notice in the video, it's subtle. It's kind of choppy, but when one of the trucks does slow down, all the other trucks slow down or go into cruise mode. So next, please. The rotating message board, again, as we start getting closer to the scene, when you're blocking the scene, you have those message boards. If you have to turn your truck for positive protection and all, you start to lose the effectiveness of your board. So we have boards that rotate 360 degrees. You can kind of see here, we're blocking a shoulder and a lane, and you can perfectly see what the message says on the board instead of if it was offset. Next, please. And here's the most extreme example is when if we had to park sideways, you can fully read that board. If you did not have a rotating message board, you would see nothing on that sign at all. And the bigger the message we can put out there to try to get compliance, the better. So the rotating message board gives us another sense of advanced warning. So next, please. So now we're going to focus on the employees. We get a little closer. I didn't say all this is going to be high-tech technology, but to us, this is technology that's affordable and easy. It's breathable. In Texas, it does get hot. We're approaching 100 today with a good heat index. So the breathable retroreflectivity vest class 3 are something we wear on our team to try to help us from getting too hot but comfortable, because if you're hot and uncomfortable, you'll take your vest off, which is no good. But people say with the stripes, you probably can't see it very well, or it does make a difference. But if you do the next slide, here's a picture of our team with that retroreflectivity. You can't even tell the stripes are there unless you're wearing it, you know, so it's a little bit cooler. So next, please. As we get down to the employee itself, as you can see on the employee on the left, he has guardian lights on his shoulders. It is the daytime, so it's not on. But what he also has on his vest is a streamable camera. So we have body cameras and truck cameras that can stream live back to our Safety Operations Center. On the bottom right, you see a picture of a piece of debris in a roadway. Our Safety Operations Center would be seeing that same thing as the employees driving up to it. So if it was reported as something else and we can't find it on the cameras, as they start to pull up on it, they would see that, man, we need more resources out here. So if it's a crash with a hazmat spill or something, our Safety Operations Center is seeing that and reacting prior to even getting the first radio transmissions back from our operator. So they're again speeding up the TSMO timeline. I flew through that really quick to keep us back on time. I hope I covered everything. I'll be available for questions at the end. And if you want more, do not hesitate to reach out to me, and I can talk forever about this. So putting me at the end was a smart thing to do. Jim, thank you very much, and back to you.
Well, my brother Eric, as always, you do a great job. And like Paul that you mentioned, brother Paul Joden, we're very passionate about Tim. And I think we share that with this great audience today as well. So thank you for all you do. So I'm going to jump right in. I know there's 2 or 3 questions in the chat pod that I'll try to answer. We're behind. We only have 13 minutes to before we wrap up. So I am going to ask you, Eric, since you were our last presentation. You've outlined the many TIM technologies for advanced warning. What is the next step, I guess, or the next one for NTTA when it comes to TIM?
So we're getting more and more to putting messages to apps. As you saw that in the screenshot I had with the Stellantis vehicles.
Yeah.
We are very shortly, very, very, very close to releasing 2 different modifications. We'll be able to target you on your cell phone, even if you don't have a smart vehicle. So to allow you to tell you geo-fenced areas of things that are going on, wrong way driver, vehicles ahead. So you're not necessarily on, you don't have to have a smart vehicle. We always say my dad drove a old pickup truck and never turned into a smart vehicle, but he had a cell phone. So we're targeting the cell phones and putting more stuff towards people that we can reach that type of thing to get the message out to more people.
Excellent. And real quick, you mentioned the Guardian Angel device on the lapel, if you will. Have you deployed that agency-wide to your entire program?
Yes, we do. Each operator is given one. Some that work night shift, we've given 2 just so they could put one somewhere and somewhere else. But every one of our Safety Service Patrol employees has one of those. Standard issue.
Excellent. So again, Guardian Angel, if any of our participants here today, attendees aren't aware, look it up or reach out to me or Vishali or Eric for more information. A question for Christine. Can you share the difference between only using PyLite versus using both PyLite and PyLink? What is the next step for Alaska in its use for this type of advanced warning technology?
You bet. So PyLit is the units themselves. They strobe in sequential order. They can be used to direct right, left, bird beak pattern. But if you have a PyLink, pay for the subscription to PyLink, and press one of the buttons that are on there, you will create an immediate temporary work zone that can be connected to 511 ways or some other technologies out there with some standard messaging, and that allows an individual to rapidly deploy communication stream with the public, not just the lights that are there on site.
Yeah, including your traffic operations center, traffic management center. Yeah. So very cool, very cool. Thank you. For Mariana, will WashDOT be sharing this technology, the technology of PyLite, I guess?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We share our experience and the use of Pilot with all of our responder communities. So we lead TIM training efforts for the state. And so not only do we share this while we're training, but WashDOT has established supports and is expanding our joint operations groups where we connect different agencies to engage in communication and coordination. And so we transparently share our use of the sequential flares and PyLink through our jogs. And we invite PI variables or Pi variables to introduce their products for other agencies to consider. If I had the power and a blank checkbook, I would provide them to every single responder across the state. But until then, I'll just keep sharing its benefits.
Absolutely. Well, you got the right mindset, Mariana, and the whole sharing with your internal stakeholders, your regional stakeholders, neighboring states, et cetera, is an important concept or part of traffic incident management.
Yeah,
establishing partnerships and sharing technology, et cetera. So you're spot on. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next question is for Tom, and it's regarding the fact that you mentioned that the Eastern Transportation Coalition agencies use DriveWise. What good practices might NJ, New Jersey and its peers share with other states considering DriveWise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know North Carolina and Georgia are two states that are part of the Eastern Transportation Coalition that also use DriveWise. And I know we've had conversations with both state DOTs about what they've done as far as their QA, QC for the process as well. And to work with DriveWise, they have helped us with certain things that are outside of their scope, and they've gone above and beyond to help us out when we've had major events, to help us understand the thresholds for the different alerts. Because sometimes we think we should be getting them, but we're not, and we understand why. And just know that if you're getting on a ramp into a delay, you might not get that because the geofence is 2 miles behind you. So just some things to keep in mind. But please don't hesitate to reach out to us here at the NJDOT. We're happy to talk to you about everything we've done with DriveWise. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Thomas, and say hi to Sal. New Jersey is another model state, if you will, and you guys are always doing great things, Thomas. So keep up the great work.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, sir. So next for Kevin, Nevada. Obviously, you presented a great program with your active traffic management system on I-15, et cetera. How you identified, use the technology to identify major incidents. I'm curious to learn, or our audience is curious to learn, what was the level of training needed for TMC operators in using the system, and whether the region intends to estimate quantitative benefits for the advanced warning system.
Okay, so as far as the TMC operators training, I am not really familiar with their onboarding. Having been in this position for about 7 months, that's no excuse. I should really be caught up for this type of scenario and being able to answer. But I do know that they do have an extensive onboarding and security clearance process.
Absolutely.
And being in the operations center, if I have a meeting down there, that's kind of where I sit. I can tell just by the results of their activities that there was some, distinct training that allowed them to operate efficiently during those events. A lot of it is automated. And so once they get the alert, the numbers will jump on the speed signs. Some of the messaging is automatic depending on what the incident is. And then the second part of the question was relative to, what was that, Jim?
Whether the region intends to estimate quantitative benefits for the advanced warning system. You may or may not have the
Yeah,
answer
so
to that as well. But Shali, go ahead.
yeah, I'd love to know. I mean, it's an incredible system. You have lane control, you have speed control, so you can do speed harmonization. Has the region looked at how, perhaps reduction in primary and secondary crashes, more consistent speeds? Has there been any assessment of the value in the deployment of this impressive active traffic management system?
Yes, our FAST team and the scope that we give them on a 2-year agreement basis is just that, performance measurements. Now, with the many things that occur in Las Vegas and in that corridor, whether they're special events or crashes, Super Bowls, brand new stadiums, it would take a few more years to start really seeing those reductions in secondary crashes. I did answer one of the questions about quantifying speed. They do analysis on speed profiles on all 11 segments, and then they come up with recommendations for improvements. And so between the traffic operations and our FAST team, we decide which of those improvements to deploy. But again, the ramp meters are almost fully automated when it comes to congestion recognition, queue observations, and things of that nature. And so while we do have to have these reports from FAST, like I said, changing dynamics after deployment in all things Las Vegas, it's so far difficult to tag significant improvements. But we do know that response times, crash clearance, and safety, just by an outward profile, have improved.
Thank you, Kevin. Very much. We still have a question here. We only have 2 minutes. For Chris, you shared how the system has made over 4,000 movements across 60 or so cameras with nearly 90% accuracy. Does the TMC currently use the CCTV repositioning model?
Yeah, the model's been running since July 1st of 2024, and we're making movements every day. I think today we've made almost 20.
Okay. And I thank you, Chris. With just a little over less than 2 minutes left, I want to thank all the presenters today. You did a phenomenal job, and I want to thank Vishali and Katie and Sharon Cuevas, my colleague, for your presentation as well, Sharon, and all of you. So next time, please join us again for the August Talking Tim, where we will have new presentations, obviously, of interest to our national Tim community. And I just want to bid you farewell. But I want to thank Kevin Vita, too, our National Operations Center of Excellence pro, who always sets us in the right direction and does a great job managing the data and the recording, et cetera, et cetera. So God bless to all of you. Stay safe, head on a swivel, and keep doing great things. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.